Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to be reviewing some new romance releases. Right as I started filming this video, people started cutting the grass. So really sorry if you can hear people cutting the grass, but this is the only time that I can film. So I hope it's not too bad for you all. But it's that season, and you're gonna hear probably quite a bit of that in the background of my video. The video is a really fun one. I've read a lot of new romance releases that have come out in the last few weeks, and I want to I'm gonna try to quickly go through these and talk about them. I talked too long, so we're gonna try to shrink that down and talk about them. But there's just been some really good releases, and I definitely will be doing more videos like this, and honestly, I highly recommend all of these if you haven't read them. I really enjoyed all of these books. So just a little spoiler alert, all of these I very much enjoyed, and none of these have bad ratings or anything like that. And most of these are also on audio, some are on KU, so just very accessible to a lot of people. So let's get right into these new releases, and I'm just gonna try to not talk so much. First and foremost, I'm gonna talk about Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. So this book is so incredibly hyped. This came out really early on in April, and it is pretty much all anyone has talked about, so you probably heard a lot about this book. And let me just tell you that it is absolutely worth the hype. I am such a fan of Abby's work. A 6-star read, it kind of transcends a 5-star read in my opinion. This book is perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about it. This is such a great summer romance, but it has a lot of emotion. It's very emotional. Justin and Emma. So Justin and Emma have a problem. They are cursed. Well, they think they're cursed. Every time they date someone and they break up, that person finds their soulmate immediately after dating them. And they actually end up connecting over this. Justin posts about this on Reddit, and his post goes viral, and him and Emma connect over this mutual curse that they both think that they share. And they actually decide that if they were to kind of date each other, it would kind of counteract the curse, and then after that they would meet their person. If we dated, went on a few dates, and then we broke up, we would meet our person. The only issue is that Emma and Justin don't live by each other. Emma is a travel nurse. She travels with her best friend all over the place, and Justin lives in Minnesota. And so, she's actually has plans to go to her next location next to her next assignment in Hawaii, but her and her best friend actually end up going to Minnesota. Things don't really go as planned because Justin and Emma actually enjoy each other's company. They spend a lot of time together, and they just have a very strong and natural connection, and they really don't want to just go on a few dates and break up. There's a lot going on in both of their lives. So this book has some trigger warnings that Abby Jimenez lists at the beginning of the book, and also what I'm going to tell you guys is actually at the back of the book. I went into the book not knowing too much. I didn't know all this information, but I am just going to tell you all a little bit about it because it is on the back, so I'm not giving anything away. This is not spoilery. It's actually a big trigger warning for parental abandonment, toxic parents, and Emma's mom. She has a very complicated relationship with her mom. Emma's mom actually lost custody of her when she was young. That's actually how she knows her best friend. She's kind of like her foster sister. Her parents took her in, and she has this very complicated relationship with her mom. She loves her mom. She really feels a lot of empathy and has a lot of sympathy towards her mom, but her mom is just really frustrating. This dynamic is very frustrating to read, and that could be quite triggering. So I just kind of want to throw that out there, that this book definitely heavily deals with that. Things are mentioned in the beginning of the book. They're also mentioned in the audiobook, which I really appreciate. A lot of audiobooks actually don't list trigger warnings, which is so annoying, but this book did. But anyway, so Emma's mom crashes the party basically, and she really causes Emma some issues, and honestly some things that Emma has really suppressed and not really dealt with really bubble up to the surface, and we really see that how that affects her friendships, her relationships. And Emma is a travel nurse, and she really likes that. She doesn't really want to settle down and have a home And that probably is an effect of her childhood and what she went through. And that is something that is really explored and talked about, and something that Emma really kind of has to deal with in this book. And then we have Justin. Justin's mom is actually about to go to prison, and he will be getting custody and becoming, you know, a guardian of his, I think he has 3 siblings or 2 siblings. Responsibility that he's undertaking, and that is not something that Emma wants to be responsible for. And so we really see both of these characters just like dealing with what they're going through and all this trauma. As usual, there's always mental health representation, there's panic attacks, like anxiety, a lot of things that Abby Jimenez tackles in this book. And so this book's infusing humor into her stories, but she's not afraid to really go there. And I've cried in just about every book I've read by her. She just really takes you on an emotional journey, and I think she does a really good job of it. She's very responsible. She talks about how she, you know, gets the advisement and things, and she works with mental health experts and things on these topics that she explores in her books, and it shows in her writing. But I just really love this book so much. And if you've read Part of Your World and Yours Truly, then this book will be more meaningful to you. You don't have to. You can absolutely start with this book, but I think that it will have more weight and just mean a lot more to you if you've read Part of Your World and Yours Truly. Abby is honestly one of the best romance writers writing in the genre today. Now, one of the things that people have critique, and that is that this book relies heavily on the plot, and the romance is not really at the center of it. And I do agree with that sentiment. I think this book definitely has a lot going on with our characters. But honestly, I loved this. I've actually been really frustrated with romance books lately because I've been feeling like they've been lacking in plot and very tropey. And this one was so refreshing. So while that is a valid critique that people have, it's not a critique that I have. I actually really like that about this book. And honestly, I felt like the romance was the center of the book. I felt like it was honestly like the most important part of Emma and Justin's story. I found it to be very realistic. A lot of the times in life when you meet someone, like you're going through other things, and past, you know, experiences and, you know, things that you've gone through in your life do affect you, and they do come up and bubble up to the surface in these relationships that you're forming with people, in these connections, whether it be romantic or platonic. And that's what we saw with Emma and Justin. Really great story. So personally, that's not an issue that I had, but I do think that's like a good and valid critique that I've seen people give of this book. But this was just absolutely amazing. Abby just knocked it out of the park, and I am just a forever fan of her work. Honestly, I will read whatever this woman writes to the end of time. Also, the audiobook is really great, and I highly recommend the audio. But 6 stars for me. 6 stars. Next book that I read was Unstudied by Peyton Corinne. So technically this is a re-release, but I'm counting it because this book actually came out at the end of last year, and this was a indie release from the debut author, but it got picked up by Atria and now it's been re-released. So there's been some changes that have been made to the story, and it's now out on audio and things like that, and it has a new cover. So I'm counting it for this video as a new release. Okay, so this is a new adult college romance, and this is a sports romance, and we're following Reese and Sadie. So Reese is, like I said, a hockey player, and he actually took a really hard hit a few months ago on the ice, and it really affected him, his family, his friends, and honestly how he's able to play hockey. And he's really struggling mentally and physically with the effects of what happened to him. He has developed severe like PTSD, and he has panic attacks and things because of what he went through. But he is trying to get back on the ice. He's really struggling with this, like I said, and he actually is there practicing on the ice early one morning, and he has a panic attack. And Sadie, our heroine, actually helps him, supports him through this attack. That's how they meet. Well, they actually meet before, but that's how they connect. And pretty much instantly, Reese is drawn to Sadie. He's very much interested and intrigued by her. But Sadie really doesn't have time for that because Sadie has a lot going on in her personal life. So Sadie is a figure skater, which I love, by the way. I need more books with figure skaters. So if you have any recommendations for me, let me know, because I've only read a couple and this was so amazing. I really loved it. But she's a figure skater, she's in college, and so she already has a lot going on, but she has a lot of things going on back home. Her dad is pretty much an absentee parent, he is an addict, and she has siblings that she pretty much is responsible for, and she's kind of responsible for keeping their house and life afloat. So she has a lot on her plate and a lot on her shoulders, and she's just trying everything that she's going through. So she really doesn't have time for Reese. But these two do connect, and they kind of have this kind of like a trauma bond that kind of forms between them. They kind of have this physical relationship, and Reese definitely wants more from Sadie, but Sadie is just not able to give him that. She struggles with a lot of that. Something that we see a lot in this book is Sadie struggling to trust Reese. She's only been able to trust and count on herself. Her mom left her when she was young. Her dad has pretty much, both her parents have abandoned her, and her siblings, you know, kind of rely on her. So she really has no one to rely to, and she doesn't really trust anybody. So we really see her struggling with this, and Reese really wanting her to let him in, on top of the things that Reese is going through with the recovery, the mental kind of recovery of what he went through, and the physical as well. And so there's a lot of things going on in this book. This is a very emotionally charged romance. It's very angsty, and I really enjoyed Peyton Corinne's writing. This was such a great debut, and I'm really excited to read more from her. If you like the Boys of Tolman series, if you kind of like the feel that that book will give you, the dynamic of that romance, not really, it's not like that book in the writing style. So if the Boys of Tolman series doesn't work for you with the writing style, but you like the content, more heavy emotional romance, then this is a book that I think you will really like and really enjoy. So I highly recommend this one. I listened to this on audio. It was a pretty decent audio, not a favorite, but I did like it. This has been taken off on Kindle Unlimited, so you know, you'll have to get this because it's traditionally published now. But I really enjoyed this one, and I think there'll be more in the series. So I'm really excited to read more by this author and hopefully get more stories from her. There's a character in particular that really intrigued me in this story, and I would really enjoy their book. So we'll see what's in store for this author and for this series, but I will be reading what comes next. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in her, I think it's the Rose Hill series. Yes, Rose Hill series, in her new Small Town series, and I'm so excited to say that I really enjoyed this one. I was kind of nervous going into this book. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really know how I feel about it because the Chestnut Spring series had some misses near the end of this series for me. I love Flawless. Heartless is literally one of my favorite romances of all time. And Powerless was good. I wasn't completely obsessed and in love. And then I really did like Reckless. I liked more of the romance than some of the other stuff in the book. And then Hopeless was just such a bummer for me. Like one of my least favorites from last year, unfortunately, just one of my most disappointing reads. But I am happy to say that this book was a hit for me. Now, a lot of people actually say that this book is like a mix between Reckless and Heartless, and I don't agree. I think that this actually is giving very much Flawless vibes. So if you like Flawless by her, then I really think you'll enjoy Wild Love. The reason I say that is because this is very heavy. The banter and the dialogue between our characters, they have a really great dynamic between them that's really, really fun. And it's something that I really love in Flawless, and ultimately made me fall in love with her work. And we got those same vibes in this book. We're following Ford. Ford has recently moved to the small town Rose Hill where him and his family used to go for the summers, and he also has a best friend, some friends that live there, so he's excited to be back in town and permanently living there. He's actually opening up a recording studio, and he's got some construction that's going on. He has a very exciting new business that he's starting. He kind of comes from like music royalty. His dad was like a really big musician, very famous musician, and so he kind of is following in those footsteps. Also, he is the brother of Lila from Heartless, so that was just a really fun connection, and I'm really glad that I enjoyed his book. But like I said, he's moving back to the small town. He's got quite a bit going on with reconstruction, new business. Girl shows up, and says that he is her father, which is kind of funny how that comes to be. I'll kind of let you figure out for yourself. I liked it. It was a nice little twist on the single dad kind of thing. This is not a secret baby because his daughter is like 13 years old, I think. So she's not a baby. So his daughter, Cora, you know, she kind of tells him that she really needs his help. Her dad has recently passed, he was sick, and her mom is really struggling with some mental health things, and she really needs a guardian. She needs someone to kind of take care of her so her mom can get the help that she needs. So she ends up moving with him for a little bit, and he really just has a lot going on and he kind of needs some help. So then we have Rosie. Rosie is actually from Rose Hill. Now her brother is best friends with Ford. She grew up with Ford. She knows him very well. She moved away. She has a boyfriend, and she actually has an incident at work. This is at the very beginning of the book, and I'm just gonna go tell you all a little bit about it just in case, just because I didn't know anything about it and there is not a content warning for this. Sexually harassed and assaulted by her manager, and she actually is let go from her job due to her kind of having a reaction to this and letting him know that, like, you cannot touch me like that, you cannot treat me that way. Loses her job, and she's very disappointed by her boyfriend's reaction, but her and her boyfriend just kind of have this like very casual, they honestly kind of feel like they're platonic friends, and she's like upset about that, upset about her job, and she just really wants to get away to kind of clear her head and kind of figure out what she wants to do and what she's doing with her life. So she ends up moving back to Rose Hill for a little bit. She actually ends up working with Ford, helping him out with his daughter and also with his new business. So unbeknownst to Ford and Rosie, these two actually have had a crush on the other person, have had feelings for the other person for as long as they can remember. So they kind of think there's like this unrequited love going on, but really there's not. They both have feelings for each other, especially Ford. He is very much obsessed with our heroine. Okay, he falls first and very hard, and we can say that he's kind of always been kind of in love with her, always had a thing for Rosie, and Rosie has always kind of had a thing with Ford. Like I said, this is a best friends brothers romance, but I really like this. We don't really big brother kind of act from him. But honestly, I thought this book was so fun. I can be nitpicky about a couple things. You just read a book and it's really fun and you liked it, and that's how I feel about this. This was fun. I really enjoyed it. This is a slow burn romance, which I also think Elsie does really well. It doesn't seem like her books are all that slow just because of the tension and things that she has with our main characters. But her books mainly are indeed slow burns, and she does them so well. I just felt like we kind of got some of that classic Elsie back with her writing. The banter and the dialogue just really keeps the book going, and she does a really good job of kind of keeping that tension for me, which is something that I like in books. This was really great. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. I didn't give this 5 stars just because it's not like an absolute favorite, but this was super fun. I would absolutely recommend it. And honestly, this series is going to be really fun. I have a really good feeling about it. We're going to be following single dads, and there's like this bowling league with all these single dads, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be following all the characters. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm very invested. I think the next book is going to be Rosie's brother, and I'm also interested in Cora's mother. Okay, so got some things to look forward to, and I'm really excited. Next book that I read was Only and Forever by Chloe Leese. This is the last book in the Bergman Brothers series. I am so sad that this series is coming to an end. I love the Bergman Brothers series so much. This series means so many things to different people. This is so diverse in some of the things like chronic illness rep, disability rep, and there's some like the sweetest, most cinnamon roll, golden retriever kind of heroes in this book, and very relatable heroines that you just love, and this very lovable family that we all wish we were secretly a part of. So this series is really wonderful, and I'm really sad it's come to an end, but this was a really great way to end the series. So this book is Vigo's book, and we have been patiently waiting for Vigo's book. Vigo is a hopeless romantic. He is actually a romance reader, and he has kind of been in the background of all of his sibling stories. He's kind of like, when there's been like a breakup or anything happening with our characters, he's kind of been there to help his siblings and arranging Bergman sibling kind of meetings to kind of talk and discuss things and figure out how they can fix things. he has definitely been in the background of all of his siblings' books, and it is time for him to finally get his love story and get his HEA. Like I said, Vigo is a romance reader and an avid romance reader, avid romance lover. And he actually decided that he's going to open up a romance bookstore. And this is a big undertaking, starting a business, and he can ask for help from his siblings, but his siblings have so much going on in their lives. They're all, you know, in relationships, some are married, some have children, and, you know, they have their careers and just their own lives. And he kind of just wants to do this on his own, and just, he doesn't really want to ask his siblings, so he's kind of doing this on his own for him to kind of navigate and balance. And so we have Tallulah, our heroine Tallulah. She is a best-selling thriller novel writer, and which I love, by the way. That was just such a fun thing. And she is writing, she's really struggling with her new book. So her first book blew up, did really, really well. And so her kind of team wants to keep that momentum going. And she's really struggling with writing her second book. And this book is a little bit different than her past one. She's really struggling with like the romance part of this book. She's just kind of having an issue kind of nailing the characters and the couple dynamic and things. And so Tallulah is actually really good friends with Vigo's little sister. That's how they connect. But also, these two actually were in the same, went to the same college. They were in the same class. And Vigo had a big crush on Tallulah when they were in school together. It was only for one semester, so they haven't seen each other in a long time. But he had a huge crush on her. And so it's really exciting when these two kind of reconnect, and these two actually decide to help the other person. So Vigo is going to help Tallulah out with her book, and Tallulah is actually going to help Vigo out with his store and everything. And I just loved this pairing because we have this like lover boy Vigo, hopeless romantic, and Tallulah, who is like the complete opposite, doesn't want anything to do with romance. And I really liked their dynamic. It was really sweet. And there is a reason why Tallulah is like that, and I really liked kind of getting into her background. It's another sweet book in the series, and I loved seeing all the other couples making their appearances with their families, and just the parents. They steal the show, and every single scene that they're in, I just love them. I really love this family. This is not a favorite for me in this series. I gave this book 4 stars, but I would recommend this series. It is such a strong series. I read every single book. I'm a huge fan. And also this has, I think it's type 1 diabetes rep with Tallulah. So that was really cool. There's always some kind of representation in every single book in the series, which I really enjoy and really appreciate. But this was a really great send-off and a really great installment in the series. And the Bergmans will just always have a very special place in my heart. About Midnight of Ashes. It is the second book in the Dragons of Ember's Hollow series. So Twilight of Embers came out and listen, everyone that read this book was giving it 5 stars, and I was like, okay, I need to read this book. The only thing is I had never read a White Shoes romance, and I was under the impression that I didn't like that so much. And I do take that back. I did read a first book in a White Shoes series, but there was nothing about that book that all the characters hadn't come together yet. It was like a Tate James book, so that doesn't count. So I was hesitant about going into this, but I ended up loving it. I listened to the audiobook. The audiobook is absolutely fantastic, and I fell in love with this White Shoes paranormal dragon shifter romance. And let me tell you, this series has officially changed my stance on White Shoes. I am definitely a White Shoes girly. I'm actually going to be diving into that. Let me know if you guys want to see a video of me reading some White Shoes romances, because I'm very intrigued with this dynamic and having more than one love interest. Like, I am in this. I'm intrigued. I get it. I get the hype. I get the obsession. I get why people love this so much. And if you are like me and like you are hesitant, I really think this is a game changer of a series, and I highly recommend it. So in this series, we're following Hayden. Hayden is a college student. She just started attending this university, and she's really excited. Hayden has had a very sad life. Her parents were murdered a long time ago, and she's been in the foster care system. and she's just really struggled, had some hard times in her life. And so she's really excited to be going to this new college. She's studying to be a doctor. She's excited to have like start a new beginning, new life, just a fresh start in a new place. And she's very excited for all the things to come. So, you know, she has a scholarship to school. So she's just kind of trying to keep her head down and just study and just, you know, do really well in school and everything and take this opportunity as like a new fresh start of her life. But all that kind of changes when she meets our 5 heroes. When she meets our heroes, okay? They kind of change the game from her. So basically she finds out they are actually dragon shifters, and we find out that she is a female dragon shifter, which is very rare. And they are actually all fated mates. Hayden and these guys are all fated mates. And so in the first book, in Twilight of Embers, we're introduced to the story and the characters and everything. And that's kind of what's going on in the first book. And there is a huge cliffhanger at the end of this book that goes right into Midnight of Ashes, which just came out in April. And let me just say that this was a really great sequel in the series. I can't say too much because this is a sequel and you have to read this book, the series, in order. You have to read Twilight of Embers first in order to read Midnight of Ashes, or you will have no idea what's going on. But I think this is a really great second book. I really enjoy the relationships with these characters. I'm enjoying all of the different connections that Hayden is making with all the guys. And of course I have my favorites, but they're all just really great. And in this book we kind of dive more into all of the characters' past traumas, because we know about Hayden's, but the guys have gone through a lot of things as well. So we really get to get some background information on the guys and their backgrounds and their histories and what they've gone through and their trauma, and I really enjoyed that. There's just a lot more development in this book, which I really enjoyed, and of course is expected in a sequel to this romance. I gave this one 4 stars. Now the reason I gave this book 4 stars, ultimately, honestly, I want more world building. I'm so intrigued by what's going on. We don't really get much of it, so I really would have liked to have more answers and to kind of find out more so what's going on in this story, and I really would have liked that. So I was just missing some of that. There's also some like side plots going on that are just kind of, I don't care about, with one character in particular, okay, whenever we're at school. Annoying. If you read it, then you know, but this was such a great series. It's action-packed, there's a lot of action going on, and the connection that she's building is really great. Like I said, they're fated mates, and Hayden is kind of questioning, like, okay, do you guys really like me, or is it just because we're fated mates? Like, is this real? And I like that she was questioning that. We kind of got to delve deeper into that. I love just how respectful the guys are, how protective they are of her. I am just really loving the series, and this book ended on another dang cliffhanger. Tessa Heller cliffhangers. Sounds like she's known for this, and I am here. I am ready for the next book. This comes out, I think, in July. Could be wrong. Now, like I said earlier, I listened to the first book on audio, and I also listened to the second book on audio, and I highly recommend listening to the audiobooks. It's like a full cast. All the guys have different narrators, and it just made it that more enjoyable and amazing. I love this series. It's just so good. So fun, really enjoyable. Now, if you would rather just like marathon the entire series after the third book comes out, totally understand. You don't have too long, but if you don't, then it's okay because you don't have a long time either. So you can't go wrong. This is a really great Why Choose Paranormal series. I cannot recommend it enough. It's just so much fun, and I want more dragons. So hopefully we get more answers in the next book. We get lots of like epic dragon stuff, and I'm really excited to see how this is all going to come together and end. I'm going to talk about the 2 books that I don't own. And the first one is Funny Story by Emily Henry. Now, this book just came out this week. When I'm filming this, it came out yesterday. When this goes up, it'll be a couple of days that it's been out. I've talked about this book in a few videos already, but y'all, I can't stop talking about it. I love this book so much. I got an ALC of this book from Penguin Random House Audio, and when I just can't express how much I love this story. I love Emily Henry. She's a very polarizing author, and I really have enjoyed all the books I read by her, but I do have my favorites in love. I do not love Happy Place. So I was like, okay, does she still have it? Does she still work for me? And she absolutely does. This is one of my favorite books of the year. And this book absolutely blew me away. I look forward to one of her books every single summer, and this just gave me all of the good summer vibes. So if you're looking for that, this is really great. It is emotional, not as emotional as some of her other books. They kind of range, but she definitely kind of goes there with our characters, and I really enjoy that about her romances. I just think she writes very, kind of like the perfect combination, just like very funny, heartwarming stories with a lot of heart. And this one was no different. And in fact, might be my new favorite. I don't know. Those are big words. Do I like this more than Beach Read? I don't know. But anyways, in this book we're following Daphne. So Daphne is actually engaged, and her fiance, she moved to Michigan with her fiance, and she just has this pretty good life living with her fiance. They're about to get married, and she's just very excited. She has a lot of exciting things coming up, and she has a good job. She's a librarian, loves her job. Her world is kind of rocked when her fiance tells her that he is in love with his best friend, and they are actually going to pursue a relationship, and this woman is going to move in with him. So Daphne needs to move out. She's absolutely heartbroken about this and broken up with, and Daphne needs a place to stay, and Miles needs a roommate, and they end up moving in together. She ends up moving into Miles' place. Daphne, like I said, she works at a library. She actually has a really fun event coming up that she's really looking forward to, but she's actually really thinking, she's kind of made her decision that she's probably going to be leaving. You know, she moved to Michigan for her ex, and no reason for her to stay. So we kind of get to see her kind of counting down till this event happens so that she can leave Michigan. And she can just kind of leave all of this behind, everything that she's kind of gone through and experienced, all this heartbreak behind. Now her and Miles have been living together, I want to say for about a month or so. They really haven't really talked that much, haven't spent a lot of time together. They're both just kind of dealing with what they've been going through kind of privately. And so these two actually end up fake dating to kind of like get back at their exes, okay? And they start spending a lot of time together, and they really have something special. There's really something between Miles and Daphne that they both recognize and they both see, and so they form a friendship. But there's so much going on. They have a lot of just sexual tension, and also just a real connection between them, a true romantic connection. And so Miles is actually, he knows that, you know, Daphne wants to kind of move away, but we see Miles kind of trying to get her to stay. And it's not for selfish reasons. She does like Michigan, but she just can't really, you know, deal with what she's going through, right? Like, she moved for her ex. So this life that she has in Michigan has revolved around her ex. And she is really struggling with this. Like, we really genuinely see her kind of recovering from this breakup, which I really like. We kind of get to see her, you know, she had this life with her ex, and now that's gone and it's over. And she's, you know, kind of dealing with all of that, and also falling for Miles in the process. And Miles is very much falling for Daphne. Such a special book. I really enjoyed, you know, their dynamic so much. And it was just so romantic. And this was definitely Emily Henry's most romantic book to date. And I really enjoyed that. You know, people always have these conversations of, are her books romance? And this is like a true romance at heart. And this is also just like the perfect summer romance. And as you're kind of going through the story, you know, this book is quite funny. You know, I think Emily Henry is really good at writing like these kind of relatable characters. And I really enjoyed as we're like unpacking the story, just kind of getting to learn more about them and their backgrounds. And you know, we find out a lot about both of our characters and what they've gone through in their lives and how that has affected them and, you know, kind of how that affects them in their lives. But I just really enjoyed this. I felt like Michigan was a really important part of the story. I loved that Daphne was a librarian, and I love the friendships that she's forming. Like, she's really forming her own life in Michigan without her ex, and I loved all those moments. I love the side characters. They were so cute and charming, and I love this book, you guys. I highly recommend it. 6 stars for me, a favorite for me of the year, and a new favorite, Emily Henry. I just recommend it. And this book is narrated by Julia Whelan, and she just did such a fantastic job. So I highly recommend the audio if you can get your hands on it as well. The last book that I'm going to talk about is actually a book that comes out today, and I got to read an ALC of this book, so thank you so much to Rebecca Jinchek for sending me a copy of this book to review. I love this book, you guys, and it is out today. It's on KU, and the audiobook is absolutely fantastic. This is narrated by Aaron Mellon and Teddy Hamilton, and they are amazing. There's duet narration, and they are so good. This is like such a fantastic audiobook, and we love duet narration, okay? So this is a college new adult romance and sports romance. We're following Knox and Avery. So Knox is a motocross racer, and I believe he's like a year into like being pro. Actually, something happens, and it kind of gives him this bad reputation, and he loses his team as a result of this. And so he's really obviously struggling with this. He actually enlists the help of our heroine, Avery. So Avery is an Olympic gymnast, which again, I just love all these sports things. I love when both of the characters are, you know, athletes. It's just so much fun. But anyway, he enlists the help of Avery. So Avery actually helped train one of his other friends, and so he really thinks that she could help. Avery's also dealing with her own issues. She experienced an injury, and she's really trying to like kind of get back to the same level that she was before. And so Knox and Avery both have a lot going on, right? And their sports things, and then their lives as well. And so Knox and Avery start training together, and they're trying to, you know, just keep it kind of just about the sport. These two are spending a lot of time together, and they have a really good time together, kind of seen as like the bad boy, and he's not. He has a very big heart. Him and Avery don't really get off on the right foot, so when he asks to train her, she's just like, really? But he has a lot of heart, and there's a reason why Knox is the way he is. I really love Knox. He has like the biggest heart. He's just a softie inside. He really has a lot going on in his life. His mom died several years ago, and his dad just kind of abandoned him. He's been really in and out of his life, and he has brothers, and him and his brothers have just stuck by each other's sides, and he specifically kind of has been around to take care of his younger brother. Jack is really good at banter as well, and this book was just so much fun. She did such a good job with it, and I really enjoyed just the dynamic between Knox and Avery. Him and Avery connect and just grow together. With another one of her series, one of the brothers is in a relationship, and I really think that one of the brothers has a series, so I think this connects to like another one of her college series. Just kind of want to throw that out there. I'm pretty sure that's the case. And I hope that all the brothers are going to get their books, because I love the brothers. I love the family. I love their bond, and I want more of the brothers. So this was just a really great romance, a really great new adult romance. And I just love like pro athlete, college athlete, kind of both. I love that. And this is a really great release that is out today. It's available on KU, like I said. Some really great books lately, y'all. Like, I've kind of hit the jackpot with this. Also, I want to say I need more motocross books. Like, if you have any motocross romances for me, let me know, because I just love that about Knox. I just found that to be very attractive. So let me know if you guys have any motocross. I only know of like one other romance that's motocross, and I don't know about anymore, but I need it. It's like a thing that I need now, okay? I I needed in my life. Okay, so that's it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you've read any of these. How do you feel? Are there any other new releases that you've read that I need to read? Let me know. It's just been like an overwhelming, but like a good overwhelming month of new releases. So there's so many to read and no time to read them all. But thank you all so much for watching. Give me like the little emoji for like racing. That's the only thing I could think of. Give me that emoji if you made it to the end of the video. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.